There are places in this world where time moves differently, where dust settles like snow on forgotten dreams, and shadows hold secrets that only the heart remembers. In the corner of Martha Henderson's attic in Cedar Falls, Iowa, sits an old rocking chair, mahogany, hand-carved, its cushions faded from deep burgundy to the color of autumn leaves. But this isn't just any chair. This is the chair that waited 50 years for a promise to be kept. The year was 1974. Martha was 23, with honey-colored hair that caught the morning light and dreams bigger than the small town that raised her. She had just married Thomas Henderson, a man whose laugh could fill a room and whose hands could build anything from nothing. Their first home was a tiny cottage on Elm Street, with a porch that faced the sunrise and a kitchen window that looked out onto Martha's garden. It was there, in the warmth of their first spring together, that Thomas surprised her with a chair. "I made this for you," he had said, his voice soft with pride and something deeper. "For when we're old and gray, sitting on the porch, watching our grandchildren play in the yard." Martha had run her fingers along the smooth armrests, feeling the love carved into every curve, every joint. The chair rocked with perfect rhythm, like a gentle heartbeat. "It's beautiful, Thomas," she had whispered. "But why now? We're still so young." Thomas had knelt beside the chair, taking her hands in his calloused ones. "Because some things are worth waiting for, Martha. And I want this chair to be here for all of it. Every morning coffee, every sunset, every story will tell our children about how we used to be." For 5 beautiful years, the chair lived on their porch. Martha would sit there every morning with her coffee, watching the world wake up. Thomas would join her in the evenings, and they'd rock in gentle synchrony, planning their future. They talked about children who would climb onto the chair's wide arms, about Christmas mornings when the chair would hold gifts waiting to be unwrapped, about growing old together, their hands wrinkled but still intertwined, still rocking, still dreaming. But life, as it often does, had different plans. The call came. On a Tuesday morning in November 1979, Thomas's company was transferring him to Seattle. Good opportunity, they said. Better future. They had 2 weeks to pack up their life and start over. What about the chair? Martha had asked, watching Thomas wrap it in old quilts. "We'll take it with us," he promised. "First thing we'll do is put it on our new porch." But their new apartment in Seattle had no porch, just a small balcony that faced a brick wall and caught no sunlight. The chair, too big and too precious for such a cramped space, was carefully stored in a climate-controlled unit across town. "Just until we find a house," Thomas assured her. "It won't be long." Months turned to years. The Seattle job became a promotion to Portland. Portland led to San Francisco. Each move brought new promises, new hopes, new reasons to keep the chair in storage. "Next house will have the perfect porch," became their ritual phrase. Martha would nod, but something in her heart was growing quieter with each passing year. In 1985, they finally bought their dream home in Marin County. Victorian style, wraparound porch, view of the bay. The day they moved in, Martha stood on the porch and could almost see herself in the chair, rocking, watching the sunset paint the water gold. But when the moving truck arrived, the chair wasn't. On it, there had been a mix-up at the storage facility. Their unit had been damaged in a flood. Most items were salvageable, but the chair needed restoration. Professional restoration. 6 months, the restoration expert promised. Maybe 8. "I'll make it better than new." Thomas held Martha as she cried that night, her tears falling onto the empty porch where the chair should have been. "It's just wood and fabric," he whispered into her hair. "We still have each other. We still have time." The restoration took 2 years. When the chair finally returned, it was indeed beautiful, perhaps more beautiful than ever. But somehow it felt different, like a childhood home. Revisited after decades away, Martha ran her hands over the familiar armrests, now perfect and smooth. She sat in it for the first time in nearly 10 years, and it rocked with the same gentle rhythm. But the sound was different now. Lonelier. Thomas was working longer hours. The dream of evening conversations on the porch faded into quick dinners and tired goodnights. The chair sat empty most days, accumulating dust and disappointment. In 1992, Thomas's heart attack came without warning. Martha found him collapsed in their kitchen on a Sunday morning, coffee still brewing, newspaper still folded. At the funeral, their neighbor Mrs. Chun took Martha's hand and whispered, "He used to tell me about that chair of yours, how you two were going to grow old in it together." Martha had looked at the empty chair on the porch and realized that some dreams die before we do. The house in Marin County was too big for one person, too full of echoes and memories. In 1995, Martha sold it and moved back to Iowa, to a small house 3 blocks from where she'd grown up. The chair came with her, of course. But this new house had no porch, and the living room felt too formal for something so personal. So Martha carried it up to the attic, wrapped it again in those same old quilts, and promised herself it was temporary. "When I get settled," she told herself, "when things feel right again." But settled felt like a foreign word now. Martha found peace in her garden, in her books, in the routine of solitary life. The chair waited upstairs, patient and silent. Years passed. Martha would sometimes climb the attic stairs, pull back the quilt, and sit in the chair among the boxes and forgotten things. She'd rock slowly, remembering Thomas's laugh, remembering their dreams. "I'm sorry," she would whisper to the chair. "I'm sorry we never got to grow old together in you." Last month, Martha's great-niece Emma came to visit. 25 years old, recently engaged, full of plans and possibilities. She was helping Martha organize the attic when she found the chair. "Aunt? Martha," Emma called from beneath the dusty quilt. "What's this beautiful chair doing up here?" Martha climbed the stairs slowly, her 72-year-old knees protesting each step. When she saw Emma sitting in the chair, running her hands over the armrests, just as she had done 50 years ago, something broke open in her chest. "Tell me about it," Emma said gently. "It feels important." So Martha told her everything, the dreams, the moves, the waiting, the loss. How the chair had been meant for a life that never quite happened. How it had become a beautiful burden, too precious to use, too meaningful to abandon. Emma listened without judgment, rocking gently in the chair that had waited so long for purpose. "Aunt Martha," Emma said finally, "my fiancé Jake is a carpenter. He's been looking for a special project for our new home. Something with history, with meaning." Martha felt her heart skip. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe this chair's story isn't over. Maybe it's just been waiting for the right chapter to begin." Today, the chair sits on Emma and Jake's front porch in Cedar Rapids, just 30 miles from where it was born. The morning sun hits it perfectly, and in the evenings, it catches the last golden light of day. Emma sits in it every morning with her coffee, just as Martha once did. She's 4 months pregnant now, and she rests her hands on her growing belly while she rocks, planning the future. "Tell me about Great Uncle Thomas," she asks when Martha visits. They sit together on the porch, Emma in the rocking chair, Martha in a lawn chair beside her. Martha tells stories about Thomas's laugh, about their dreams, about the man who built the chair with such hope and love. Emma listens, rocking gently, and sometimes Martha swears she can hear Thomas's voice in the creak of the wood. "He would have loved this," Martha says, watching Emma's belly grow rounder with each visit. "He would have loved knowing his chair finally found its purpose." Emma smiles, her hand tracing the smooth armrest. Maybe he does know. Maybe that's why it waited so long. Maybe it knew exactly what it was waiting for. Sometimes the stories we think have ended are just pausing, gathering strength for their next chapter. The chair that Thomas built with such love didn't fail in its purpose. It just took a longer path to fulfill it. In 3 months, Emma and Jake's baby will be born. The chair will rock a new generation to sleep, hold morning feedings and bedtime stories. It will witness first steps and scraped knees, birthday parties, and quiet moments. Martha visits every week now. She brings stories about Thomas, about their dreams, about the life they almost had. She tells Emma about the morning she first sat in the chair, young and full of hope, believing the future would unfold exactly as they planned. "But this is better," she said last week, watching Emma rock in the golden afternoon light. "This is the life the chair was really meant for. Not the one we planned, but the one it chose. Objects hold our stories, our dreams, our love. They outlast us, carrying our intentions into futures we'll never see. The old chair that waited 50 years teaches us that sometimes the longest journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations. Sometimes what we think is an ending is really just a beginning we haven't recognized yet. And sometimes love finds a way to keep its promises, even when we think it's too late. For everyone who has ever waited for the right moment, and for the moments that find us when we need them most."